It does. There's not a lot of directions.
Okay, I'm going to get Christmas. I turn around for 5 minutes and the place is full. I was wondering if the title would scare people off, and apparently that did not work. You're at 13 Ways to Teach Like a Hacker. If you were thinking of something else, then you're at the wrong session. I just created this Chrome profile, so it's syncing all my extensions. Because I wanted to show something and... Stop that. So let's get started. My name is Ryan Collins. I'm with Kenton City Schools. And my pointer woke up. Here I am with the person that taught me everything I know about being a father. We're at Universal Studios this past year. AboutRyanCollins.org is a nice little, if you're curious and need to stalk someone, there's more than enough information there to really stalk me well. Who am I? I grew up on a farm in Kenton, Ohio, which is in northwest Ohio, not Canton, not Kent, not Kenston. My degree is Bachelor of Music and Music Education. I still have my K through 12 music certificate. My master's is in Ed Tech. I've been the Director of Technology at Kenton City Schools for the past 19 years, 20 next year. And so today, we are going to talk about 13 ways to teach like a hacker. So first, I need to explain what the 0x0d means. 0x0d is just 13 in hexadecimal. If you do anything with computers, you've probably seen hexadecimal numbers at one point or another. They're base 16. Do they even teach different bases in elementary anymore?
I do. Junior high.
Junior high, okay. Computers work in base 2, which is binary. There's only zeros and ones. We're used to base 10. We have digits 0 through 9. Hexadecimal is base 16. They have digits 0 through 15. Well, once you get to double digits, that makes it really confusing trying to do hex. So digits 10 through 15 in hex are A through F. So 0D is 13. 0x is just the nomenclature that somebody decided long ago to say, yes, this is a hexadecimal number, because if you see a number without letters in it, there's no way for you to know whether that's base 10 or base 16. So the 0x means it's hexadecimal. You'll see 0b, and that means it's binary, and it'll only be zeros and ones. So, 13 ways to teach like a hacker. I put this whole presentation together thinking 13, my birthday's a 13. 13's a nice number I like. And then I ended up with 59 slides and 60 minutes to go through them. So, I will probably go pretty quick. If you have any questions, contact me afterwards. And hopefully we'll have some time later on after the presentation so I can answer your questions. First way to teach like a hacker is learn your keyboard shortcuts. The more you can spend on the keyboard and less time using your trackpad or your mouse, the faster you will be. So we're going to show some of the keyboard shortcuts. This might be old hat for a lot of you, but I had a student just last year was confused on what Control X and Control C, cut, copy. He didn't understand that Control X cut it into the clipboard. He was using it as just another way to delete. So every time he copied and pasted, he did Control C, Control X, and then he went to where he needed to go, and then Control V. So he was doing the shortcuts, he was just throwing in an extra step that he didn't have to do. And that's just something, if you're just learning it on your own, you might not realize that Control X actually puts it in the clipboard besides just deleting it. If text is highlighted, you just have to start typing. That's a hard habit to break if you're used to. You'll go highlight something and you'll immediately hit the backspace or the delete key and then you'll start typing. You don't have to do that. If it's highlighted, just start typing. If you click in the URL bar, you know how it all highlights? Just start typing and it'll delete what's there. It saves you one key press. One key press may not seem like a lot, but I strive, if I can save you a minute a day, that's equivalent to 3 hours by the end of a 180-day school year. Save you half a day. You can save just 1 minute a day. Everybody can save at least a minute a day. So just type if it's highlighted. Browser shortcuts. A lot of you know, and when I have C up here, I mean Control if you're on Chrome or Windows, Command if you're on a Mac. So a lot of these you already know. Control L, select the address bar. Control T, create a new tab. Control W, close a tab. Control S, Control Shift T will reopen the last closed tab. So we've all been there. We've been closing tabs like crazy, and then you realize, oh, I didn't want to close that last one. Control Shift T will reopen that last tab. Control Page Up and Page Down. That'll let you go through your tabs from the keyboard. Sometimes that's faster than reaching for the mouse, especially if the tab's right next to the one you're at, or you're switching between two tabs. Control Page Up, Page Down is going to be quicker for you than trying to use that mouse and trying to click on the tabs. Every time you need to use the mouse to click at something, it adds a little bit of a cognitive load because you not only have to know what you're going to click on, but you have to put that pointer where you need it to go. And sometimes that you overshoot and all that other fun stuff. Middle click or control click will open a link in a new tab. So if you are doing a Google search, and I'll do a Google search here for monkeys, because who doesn't like monkeys? If I control click on a link, it opens it up in a new tab in the background. See, I just opened those 3 tabs. So I can have all my search results still on one tab and have the other tabs for all of the ones I want to check out. Makes it go a little bit quicker than clicking on a tab, waiting for it to load. See, those other 3 tabs are still loading. Whereas, so you'd have to wait for each one. Now they can load in the background, so I can be reading the Wikipedia page while that live science page is still loading. And yeah, there it goes. So control click will open a tab in the background. And if you have a middle click, so if you have a mouse with a scroll wheel on it, that mouse with a scroll wheel is also a click. You can push down on it and it'll click. Well, here's a use for that click. You can open up tabs in the background. Gmail shortcuts. Gmail has a ton of shortcuts. They let you go through and manage your email a lot faster. I just popped up, and that link at the very, very beginning of the presentation, which I'll bring up at the end, has links to all the pages so you can see all of the Gmail shortcuts, all of the browser shortcuts, all of that stuff. So you can go back and look. So these are the ones that I use almost every day. And I haven't really checked my email today, so I can show you how much faster it is to go through my email when I know the key shortcuts than trying to, the first start of the day, you're going through and deleting all those messages that you don't want. Well, it's a lot faster, and hopefully there's nothing embarrassing here. So I'm going to go to a folder here. So I can use J and K, and it might be hard to see where you are. See how that blue bar moves? So I can go down through here and just start marking the messages that I know I do not want to read and I just want to delete.
You can delete that ticket.
Yeah. I'm gonna go really fast here, and then I'm gonna delete something I need. So I can go through it and select all of them just by hitting J and X. J, 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 X, J, 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 X. And that goes a lot faster than me trying to hit that little checkbox. And then hashtag will delete them. Supposedly. Yeah, there they go. So there, those are all deleted. Messages that I want to keep, but I don't really need to read, like these. I do like to keep those. I can mark them and hit Y, and it archives them. So it's a fast way to go through my inbox without having to try to click on all those little arrows. And then you accidentally drag messages around and all that other fun stuff. You do have to go in your settings and turn shortcuts on in Gmail. I don't mean for this to be a big Google session, but we use Google for everything. So you'll have to modify if you're not using Gmail, look at your own email client that you're using. But I try to keep things as generic as possible. Next up on the way to teach like a hacker, create a start page for your bookmarks. How many people use bookmarks? Good job. How many use a start page? Okay, and what I mean by start page is it's a web page, and I have a couple services up here. I'm on several different machines at a time. I like to use different browsers. I like to jump back and forth between browsers. So if I'm keeping my bookmarks synced in Google Chrome, and I want to test out, Firefox has a new version of Firefox. Well, I want to test that out. Then I don't have access to those bookmarks because they're all in Chrome. By creating a start page, I can easily jump from browser to browser, machine to machine. I use start.me, and I've got a link so you can sign up and get the educational version of start.me. It has minor advertising. There's Symbaloo, ProtoPage. Start.me just kind of looks better. So let me show you my great start page. I have links to everything that I need access to. Because as you know, a majority of you do have bookmarks, and it makes things so much faster. Here I can group them how I want to use them, and I don't have to rely on Chrome syncing. And I can start.me, when I look at different services, one aspect of a service that I really, really like is the ability to get my data back out. Say I don't like start.me anymore, I can export all my bookmarks out. So I'm not stuck with them forever and ever. We're going to talk about these create files link later, but each one of those, if I click on that link, it's going to create a new Google Doc in my 18-19 school year folder right from there. So I'm not going to Google Docs, but that's previews of coming attractions. Don't get hung up on that. If you manage your Google admin, you know there's several places in there, and every time you go to Google admin, it's going to ask you to log in. I got tired of trying to drill down to get to the exact spot I needed to, so I saved those bookmarks. Here's all of our services we use, some forms, the vendors, other places we use. So I use this to give me a start every day. I can go here, I have access to everything that I need, and I can get to it quickly. And here we go, Google Docs URL tricks. Right after I said this isn't going to be a Google session, well, we're going to talk about some Google tricks here. Google added 2 months ago, 3 months ago, if you just go to any of those addresses, you can go to docs.new, and it'll automatically create a new Google document for you with your currently logged in account. So that's pretty good. That works pretty well. But my problem is I create a new folder every school year for documents that I use during that school year. Makes it a little bit easier for me to find things as the years progress. And also, if I want to reuse a document from 3 years ago, I'll copy it and put it into this current school year and then start modifying it. So I can always go back to see what I did 3 years ago, but I can also reuse that document. If you use any of these, it's going to dump it into your main My Files in your Google Drive, and you're going to have 3 million files in there, which a lot of us already do because that's where we like to put things. So this is the older way to do the new documents, and these are the links that we need to know, and I'll give you that URL so you can get access to these. These are the links that you need to know because there is a way, if it goes, we append this whole nice little mess here with the folder ID. It'll create that new document. So docs.google.com/document/create ? And that whole mess. It'll create the document in that folder. So to get that Google ID, you navigate to the folder, and it's that random bunch of characters at the end of it. So this will create a new Google Doc in that folder for me. I can put that on my start.me page, and it gives me quick access. I need a Google Doc. I click on it. Boom, it's in my 18-19 school year. I'm good to go. I don't have to create it and then move it into the folder I want. We want to save time. Class spreadsheet. Past 3 years, I taught a couple of classes, satellite classes for our local joint vocational school, and I picked up, I'm glad I did, because I picked up some little tips that might help teachers. One idea that I had was I created a class spreadsheet. In that class spreadsheet, it's basically a list of students with their email addresses. But what I did was set the protections so they can't change the first couple columns. They can change the rest of the spreadsheet. So every time okay, this week's assignment, you're going to make a website. Go to the Google Doc and put in your website address into the spreadsheet. And that way, everybody in the class has access to all of their information, and they can see their classmates' spreadsheets. You have them all create Twitter accounts. They can put their Twitter usernames in there. And you just add more and more columns for the various services or other information you want to collect from them. And I didn't have a problem with them. Google Sheets has their revision history, so you can kind of, if a kid's screwing around, you can find them and take them out back. But I didn't have that problem. This worked pretty well. So you can, with Google Sheets, and you can do this with Excel, you can protect the spreadsheet so only you can edit the entire sheet, but students can only edit certain columns. Now, the bonus for this is sometimes you want to email your class, and you have various ways to do it. You can also, I can highlight all the email addresses, go to Gmail, and here's your tip for when you want to send out an email to all your students. In the Gmail, address it to yourself. Under to, put your address in there. Then hit the BCC for the blind carbon copy and paste their addresses in there. Gmail won't let you send an email that just has BCC addresses in it. But you can put your address in as the to, and then you can, so I'll copy, if I need to email all of them, this will usually be the fastest way. I'll just copy their addresses, copy it in the BCC field, and boom, I can send it out to all of them. So creating a class spreadsheet is really nice, especially if you're a tech teacher that you see several hundred students. You can create one for each class, and then you can easily go through and find their information, and they can give you more information. Could you do it with a Google form? Yeah, but that kind of gets cumbersome as the year progresses and you want more information from them because you either have a bunch of spreadsheets or it just, this way works pretty well. Gmail searches. I'm going to go faster to this because you guys probably have a good idea for the Gmail searches. These are all words you can prefix in your search for Gmail, and it will search on that item. So if I'm searching for emails from my superintendent, I can put from : and her email address, and I get all of her emails. A lot of people I've taught, when I'm working with them with their email, they will create a folder for all of their principal emails. They'll create a folder for all their superintendent emails. There's no reason to do that management. Just do the from : and whoever's address, and you'll get all of their emails. Saves you so much time. I archive everything. I label. The only time I label or put items in an email is if I'm on a project and there's no good way to search for the various emails about that project. So those I have to put in a folder because there's no way to do it. Most of the time, I can just do from : if I do subject : it'll only search the subject instead of everything. Is : I use that for is unread. And you'll see that there's a reason why that's up there in a little bit. In : I can search a particular label, and you'll see why that's up there in a little bit. That's previous to common attractions. The other one is after and before. After : is a great way, so I can do a search from : superintendent's email address. After : I can put in August 1st, 2018, and it will show me all the emails I've received since the beginning of the school year. So I can narrow down, okay, I know I got that email in the last 60 days. I can do after minus 60 days. There's a way to do it. It's on the help sheet. So you can actually put relative dates. You don't have to put an actual date in there. So you can say, give me all the, show me newer than, there's newer and something else. Newer than 60 days, I think is what it was. And you can find all your messages for newer than 60 days. These searches are also bookmarkable. So you can add a bookmark for all of your emails from a certain person and save that as a bookmark, put it on your start page, and a single click will show all of those. I have a Gmail search saved for help desk replies. So I can see all of my unread help desk replies so I don't miss those. Email filters. My email is, okay. An email filter, you can use whatever service you use for email. You can set up various filters to kind of direct email. I know if you're Gmail, they have the little specific promotions and all that other stuff. I've turned that off. I set up a filter. And my most important filter is that first one right there. It's a search, and the little braces I found out is for or. And the minus, so forget about this minus, hide this minus for right now. If I did a search for from *@KentonCitySchools.org, and this is our ITC, it'll show me all the emails from those places. The minus will negate it. So it'll show me all the emails not from those two domains. So how do I use this? I have some vendors that I need access to, but starting out, you can just put in, if it's not from either of those two addresses, I have it not go in my inbox. It's going to apply a label outside email, and I say never send to spam. What that means is my inbox will only contain email from people in my school district or emails from my ITC. I will never receive an email from somebody in my inbox outside of that. It makes it really easy to keep your inbox clean because I'm not dealing with a bunch of junk showing up in my inbox. That all goes into the outside email. Now my actual filter is kind of longer because you'll see in my inbox, because I have a .org in there, so any address that ends in .org also goes to my inbox. That's why this E-rate one is there. And that's my ITC. So this is not unedited at all. This is email addresses that I specifically said, yes, show these in my inbox. Everything else goes into my outside email folder. It makes it really nice because I don't have to rely on my specific client supporting Gmail's way to categorize emails. I can use any client I want, and all my emails are where they need to be. I only have notifications turned on for my inbox. So on my phone, the notifications will only show emails that made it into my inbox. So I know those are more important than stuff that does not make it into my inbox. When I first set this up with teachers, though, they freak out because apparently having 20,000 emails in your inbox is comforting to them. So one way to get around that, and then when the mail starts showing up in the outside email, it gets them nervous because I might miss a message. Well, there's an add-on for Gmail called multiple inboxes, and once you turn it on, I didn't scroll up just because I didn't want to show it. My outside email shows up underneath my inbox when I'm looking at the main page. So that makes them feel better. Oh, there's my emails. All 20,000 of them. I can't miss my Kohl's cash.
It's true. It's expired.
Yeah. So that multiple inboxes you can set up, and you can add different searches because down here then I have my help desk replies also shows up then at the bottom. So on a normal day that I'm not out of the district, by this time, what time is it, 1:30? By this time I've gone through my inbox, my outside email, and my help desk replies, and the page would be mostly blank. There might be one message, but I'm on top of things. Bonus tip, I have a today folder and a to-do folder. To get things out of my inbox or my outside email, if it's not something that I can delete or reply to right then, if it's something I can archive, I archive and then promptly forget about it. But if it's something that I need to do, I relabel it and put it into my to-do folder, or if it's something that needs to be done now, it gets labeled into my today folder. So my inbox and outside email and help desk replies, they all stay pretty empty during the day because those messages are in to do and today, so to help me keep on top of what needs to be done. And the little exclamation points are just there so they show up at the top of the list of your folders. Email notes and journaling. There's all these serendipitous communications, serendipitous meetings, that's the word I was looking for, that you'll have during the day. You'll talk to a teacher, you'll talk to a student, and you want to remember what you talked about. You want to keep track of those things because I have a million things going on. If I don't write it down, I'll lose it. Well, I use Gmail for my journaling. Most email sites support, oops, wrong way. Most email sites support this plus alias addressing. Plus notes, I can put it in a note, I can email to Collins R plus notes, and I still get it in my inbox, but I set up a filter so anything that's addressed to Collins R plus notes does not go to my inbox, it goes into my notes folder. So I can be talking to a teacher, a student, as soon as I'm done, I just open up my email. I have the Collins R plus notes at kansascityschools.org as in my address book. I just start typing it and it'll automatically fill it in. And I can write down the quick note that I wanted to save and hit send. And it automatically gets into notes and it skips my inbox. So I have a nice record of all of these notifications, all of these little meetings right in my Gmail. I can easily search it so I can, oh yeah, what did we decide on Susie? I can go back and look at my notes and see that Susie was very bad and is going to lose access to the computer forever and ever. So this is a great way to keep track of those little, just those little notes, because you can write them on a piece of paper, and that paper has a half-life of about, for me, paper has a half-life of about 3 hours, and then it's glossed or tore up. I use an app called Drafts on my phone. It did cost $5. I have an iPhone. I have not found anything for Android. It's one of the apps that keeps me on the iPhone. What that does, and I've got a screenshot here, Drafts looks like it takes notes. But you can set up different actions to do with whatever you type into that note. So I have different ones here. The column's done. If I do a task, it sends it to columns r.+done, and then it gets filed into my done. And there's some other ones on there, so don't look at those. But whenever I type into the note, all I have to do is hit that action, and it sends it off automatically very, very quickly. So a little faster than using your email. Drafts 5, their new version, is subscription-based. It's $20 a year. I have not updated to it yet because I don't know if I'd use it enough. But Drafts 4, I really like. It's worth the $5. I have an action for Twitter for the conference that I start up Drafts, I type in my message, and I say tweet, #, hashtag OETC19. And it will automatically add the hashtag to the end of my tweet and sends it out. So it's a quick way I can send out my information and save it. And Drafts is a great app once you wrap your head around what you can do with it, if you have an iPhone. I have not found, and it sends back, it says Ryan Collins likes this email and has a thumbs up in it. So I can easily just send that. So if somebody sends me something, I can just reply really quickly saying, okay, and there's my okay. My email status, I used to use this all the time, and I don't use it anymore. It throws this into the email, and I can put an X. So this email is FYI, response needed. I can say yes, no, or whatever you want. And if it's what the sensitivity of it is. That's very useful, but my recipients didn't seem to use that information. So I haven't used it in years, but I found it in my canned replies. I don't know if I might start using it again. I don't know. Depends on my mood. Password manager. How many people use a password manager? How many people use a password manager not built into your browser? What do you use?
LastPass.
LastPass. What do you use? LastPass. And that's what I use, LastPass. How many people write their passwords on Post-it notes? Stick it to the monitor. I had a teacher that was out for, they had a long-term sub in, and the long-term sub was having computer issues, so I went to the computer, and there was a Post-it note with the password. So I I took a picture of it, texted the teacher, and said, "What is this?" It wasn't her fault. The substitute teacher wrote the passwords on the Post-it note and stuck it there. So a password manager is a way to store all of your passwords securely, and I don't like to use the ones in the browser because I might not necessarily be in Chrome. I might be in Firefox. I might be in another browser, Safari, Edge. LastPass is the one I use. 1Password, I forget the limits of the free 1Password. LastPass is pretty usable with the free version. It lets you have totally random characters. My passwords are 12 to 16 characters, totally random gibberish. I copy and paste. I don't have to fill it out. Check out using one of these password managers. Once you start using them, then you'll start cursing at like banking sites because they'll say, well, you can use every symbol but an asterisk, and then you have to change it. Or they'll say, well, your password has to be between, what was the one that just ticked me off? It had to be, I forget, it was a limit on the size. It couldn't be longer than 8 characters. And I'm thinking, come on, people, you can't spare a few bytes to store a 12-character password. It'll make your life so much nicer. The various services, and there's a ton out there. You can do some research. I use LastPass. They have a mobile app so I can have access when I'm on my password. If you pay for LastPass, you can share passwords with other people. Our district pays for it for the tech department. We have the 3 people in the tech department. Why are you looking at me like that for?
I didn't know that.
Oh, the people in the tech department have access to all of the passwords, so we can, if I get hit by a bus, they're not locked out. And my superintendent's over there. I'm giving her a hard time. I want to start rolling this out with our administrative staff because principals, I don't know if we want to pay for it for teachers, but maybe. Principals, though, they sign up for everything, and then when they leave, you don't know what they're signed up for. You don't know what passwords they have. You don't know what accounts they use. So I want to start looking at doing that for our administrators at least. But if you don't take away anything from today, get a password manager and start using it. Especially if you use the same password for every service. And those services that make you change it every 6 months. How many people have a service that makes it change it every 6 months? Yeah, a few. And you just have one password and you just add a 1 at the end, and then the next month you add a 2, the next month you add a 3. Yeah. Presentations for lesson plans and lessons. So when I was teaching, I started to do, part of my requirements with the joint vocational school is I had to turn in my lesson plans. Well, I wanted to do this as easily as possible, so what I did was my lesson plans are a presentation. I shared the presentation into the folder that they had for lesson plans, and I was done. As I worked on my lesson plans, they automatically had a copy of it. To share those lesson plans with my students then too, because it was a presentation that would have what we were talking about that day, and I shared it with them for every 9 weeks. And I'm going to show you an example. We have more Google URL tricks. This is a slide presentation. It has /edit and what slide you're on. If you replace that /edit with preview, you get a nice preview of the presentation. The links are all clickable. They don't have all the garbage of they don't have all the left side and all that stuff. So